As I'm sure you have realized by now, our emphasis at this annual conference is church health. That's one of the 4 priorities we have as an annual conference. And each annual conference, we lift up one of those priorities. This year, we're talking about church health. I invite now Reverend Bob Alford, who leads our church health team, to come and to share with us a little bit about this team's work.
Thank you, Bishop. Friends of Annual Conference and members of Annual Conference. As the Bishop said, my name is Bob Alford. I'm the Executive Director for Healthy Congregations. I have been in this position almost a year, and I am still learning from people like Bishop Schneese and other great writers that have experience and the pragmatism of offering hope and possibilities and going forward. My background is growing up in a small church in Winston County called Houston, Alabama, Houston Memorial. On a good Sunday, we had maybe 50 people. On a bad Sunday, we had 45 people, and I was related to everybody there. I've served churches for, I've been appointed for 37 years. So far back that I had a full head of hair when I started, and you see what ministry does to you after a while. I say that because every church I've served has been larger than the church that I grew up in, and I've learned a couple of things over that time. One is that everything contextually is different. Just because you're in a rural area, just because you're in an urban area, just because you're in a transitional setting, etc., doesn't mean that you can take a template and overlay it on what's going on. You have to be contextual. I've also learned that we have certain things that we have been doing over the years, and I have a confession as an institutional boy, minister over the years. It was probably only 15, 18 years ago that I said, you know, I need to quit trying to be a good Methodist, though that's important, and be a good Christian. And that has made all the difference in the world. So that's just a little bit of my testimony. In coming into this position, as I said, I'm still learning. Thank goodness I can take experiences from serving churches, being a district superintendent in 2 different districts, and to learn that I don't have all the answers, but if I put a good team around me, we can at least work together. And we've done that. I have a good team that works with me and helps me and advises me and says, no, we don't do it like that, Bob, and corrects me, and they are wonderful. And I thank them for their participation as far as being on the team. Healthy congregations is a word that means a lot of different things, and for all of us here today, our church is on various spectrums of health. But it's kind of like our personal health. We all need to continue finding ways to eat better, to exercise better, to keep ourselves more healthy and functional and able and being and doing. But unfortunately, we're not always as good at doing that as we should be, and it's the same thing with the church. Just very briefly, our vision comes out of the Great Commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. And then the commission, go and make disciples. And that's what we in Healthy Congregations want to do, not simply with you, because I'm preaching to the choir here, but with people in our congregations, across our conference, and in our communities as well too. Our mission is to equip spiritual leaders to empower congregations to grow disciples for Jesus Christ and to make transformative relationships with their communities. We know that the day of the church, coming to church in the brick and mortar aspect, is a day that is not the only way. In fact, there are many ways. And so over Today, over several different presentations, you're going to be hearing about tools that we will offer as a way to assist you. Now, programs do not make a church a church. They are only conduits to connect with people. But rather, we want to share these tools and examples of how these tools either have or are working or could work in our own context to assist every congregation in the North Alabama Conference. So I would close with this. We have different presentations coming later today, and it would be this: who is our neighbor? And I would suggest that our neighbor is just across the road on Monroe Drive. Our neighbor is in Huntsville and Hansville. Our neighbor is in Tuscaloosa and Turkeytown. Our neighbor is in Birmingham and Bugtussle. Our neighbor is in Florence and Fredonia. You get the point. Our neighbor is not simply those in our own world and bubble that live next door, go to church with us, we work with, we go to school with. Our neighbor is the opportunity Jesus Christ gives us to reach others with the good news so that they can experience all that we have experienced and even more. Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you very much, Bob. We will be hearing throughout the conference different stories of tools and resources that are available to assist local churches in growing healthier, and every local church has the opportunity to grow healthier than it is. We have some very healthy churches in this annual conference, and we celebrate that. We have some other churches that are in the process of growing healthier, and we celebrate that. Our goal is that every church in this annual conference will grow healthier every year.